I want to give you an update on the race. Trump versus Biden. Who's in the lead right now? What do these swing states look like? Let's check it out. Real Clear Politics poll average. Right now we got Biden on top, leading with a 7.5 spread.
Scary. Biden leading by 7.5 points is scary, unless you are a Trump supporter.
And as you see here, it's pretty consistent. Every single pollster has Biden in the lead, everywhere from 2 points to 12 points. So it's looking pretty good nationally right now. Of course, as I always say, national doesn't mean a whole lot if you lose the Electoral College. But this is by a wider margin than Hillary had during this time. So it gives you maybe a little indication in terms of what to expect. But let's go to some battleground states here. Ohio, Biden up by 2.4. Not as...
So 2.4 meaning Trump can easily win.
as comfortable as I would like, but it's still a lead. Let's check out Wisconsin. Biden leading.
I'm saying it's still a lead. Having a lead is irrelevant. A lot can happen between now and the election. And also, Donald Trump is using a lot of tricks to try and do exactly what he's accusing others of doing, which is cheat. So between vaccine games and whatever other trickery, I mean, he's going to do anything to win. All these little 5-point leads and 6-point leads, anything less than 10-point lead is irrelevant to me. I regard anything less than 10 points as a Trump win. You can say all you want about Donald Trump, but the amount of enthusiasm and passion of his voters and him in terms of how aggressive, what he'll be willing to do to win. And he has the upper hand as the current president. I mean, he can just, what if between now and the election, Donald Trump just decides to come up with some program to forgive 20% of college loans for minorities. Now, it could be something that's going to end up not going through, but if he can get enough people to believe he's actually doing that, certain minority groups might actually vote for him. What if he leads us to believe there's a vaccine and enough people believe there's a vaccine? So everything's good. The stock market's up. We got a vaccine now. So now we can fully open up the economy. The economy was doing pretty good before the pandemic. So one could extrapolate that it'll be doing pretty good pretty soon. So if he can put us in a position where things look like we made it, vaccine, stock market's up, and then a couple of handouts to certain groups to give the, classic pandering, he can crush these margins pretty quickly. Voter suppression, Kanye West tricks, and the Democratic Party just being very weak. The only thing they're offering is a return to normalcy. And don't forget Americans' short-term memory.
By 6.5, looking much better in Wisconsin, which is, to me, look at where this race was back in March, April. Like, this was a state that Trump, in many polls at that time, had been leading every primary candidate. But now it's pretty clearly for Biden. So
a 6-point lead is not pretty clearly for Biden. Again, margin of error, tricks, and a lot can change between now and the election. And then people will say, oh, the polls were wrong. No, the polls, if you read them correctly, are telling you to be very afraid if you don't want Donald Trump to win again. That's what I see. This is not looking very impressive. The best thing we see here is the Rasmussen +8. But the way those swing states...
That's looking good. Let's check out Florida. Not so great. Biden leading by 1.2.
Exactly.
This has narrowed considerably recently. This is going to be a tough one. Again, Biden doesn't need Florida, but it'd be nice to have. Maybe check out one or two more. Michigan.
You got to calculate. When you look at this, you got to calculate that we're going to be in much better shape by the time election time comes. So if things look like this right now, how do you think they're going to look in November? I could easily see, if nothing changes and we continue on the trend we're on right now, I could easily see Donald Trump gaining 3 points across the board, averaging 3-point gain. And then you account for a margin of error and trickery, and Trump wins.
Biden leading in Michigan by 4.2. See how the race looks there. It's narrowed considerably recently, but now Biden's going back up. So there was, if you remember, I think I did a video on this a couple weeks ago. There was about a week there where it looked like Trump was coming back and Biden was dropping. And this is around the time that happened. But it appears to have now at least began to bump back in Biden's favor. Let me check one more. Let's check Arizona. Wow, look at that. Biden leading by 5.7 on average in Arizona. That's really good, actually.
That's not
much
really
better than
good.
recently. So he is increasing.
That is not really good. Margin of error. I don't know what the margin of error on this particular one is, but let's say it's 3 points. That would mean a 3-point lead. And like I just pointed out, he can gain 3 points between now and the election. If you want Biden to win, all these polls are very, very scary, and you better hope that there's massive voter turnout, because I feel like all the momentum and energy is in Trump's favor. People who are voting for Biden are basically voting against Trump. Who is going to be more motivated to actually follow through and actually vote? The people that are voting for something, or the people that are voting against something? Especially as we're getting closer and closer to normalcy. What was scaring people to Biden was all the chaos. I don't know, man. I don't think these polls look good at all. Not if you want Biden to win. If you want Trump to win, that's interesting. So if I wanted Trump to win, how would I perceive these polls? Because Trump's losing in all of them. I guess it would be the same thing, because essentially when you think about it, what I'm presenting is that I guess essentially I feel that it's a toss-up. It could be Trump or it could be Biden. A second term of Trump would be extremely dangerous for this country. So I feel like the Biden voters have more to lose. The danger of Trump winning is higher than, I think, for the Trump voter. So if you're a Trump voter and Trump loses, Trump tries to make it look like, the whole country's going to fall apart. But I don't think, if I were a Trump voter, I don't think I would be as terrified of a Biden presidency. All right. So imagine a Trump supporter fear of Biden winning versus a Biden voter fear of a Trump presidency. I would guess that the fear factor would be stronger for the Biden voter. Because you think about it, I would look at it this way. If I'm a Trump supporter, I'm thinking, if Trump loses, then we're going to go back to the Obama years, right? Because this is Obama's vice president. Not only did Obama win the election, but he won a second term. So he couldn't have been that bad if he won 2 terms. So if that's what you're to be afraid of as a Trump voter, oh my goodness, we're going to go back to how things were during Obama, where things were so horrible, where the stock market was doing great and unemployment was at record lows. That's what you have to lose as a Trump supporter. So, obviously, I know some Trump supporters won't see it that way, but I think enough will that I don't think as a Trump supporter, it's that scary of a race. Yes, you have to realize that Trump can lose, but how fearful of that are you? Because your fear of that is going to dictate your actions. I don't think it's as high as the Biden. A Biden voter, what are the stakes for them? So, if you're a Biden voter, then you're probably of the mindset that Donald Trump is insane. He's a lunatic. He's a con man. He's a liar. He's incompetent. Thousands of lives have been lost due to his incompetence. And that's a man who is trying to get reelected. If he did all those things, knowing that he wants to get a second term, then imagine what he would do in his final term. Right? I'm just getting into the mindset. If you're a Biden voter, that's the way you're probably going to look at it. A second term would be a disaster. It would just be much, much worse. Because first of all, he's had 4 years to sort of take down all the guardrails that are designed to protect us from somebody like Donald Trump, from, basically circumventing the rules and just doing whatever he wants to do, and any kind of corruption. I mean, he got rid of the inspector generals. A lot of the people of integrity have either left or got fired. So he's got just a bunch of yes men around him. So a second term without, because look at all, like we had the whistleblower, all this kind of stuff. There are less people left there to do that kind of stuff. So that means he can now sort of, I mean, he's already gotten away with a lot of things. So can you imagine a second term? Second term where he doesn't care anymore, right? Because he knows impeachment is a joke. So he's not getting impeached. I guess unless the Democrats get the Senate, but that's a whole nother story. He's not getting impeached. There's almost no one around him that's going to whistleblow. So what's to stop him from doing whatever the hell he wants to? Apparently, we almost had nuclear war already, and we didn't even know this, 2017. He actually started a war with Iran, but stopped it 10 minutes before the first bomb dropped. Many people aren't even aware of that. He literally launched an attack on Iran. So he's such a lunatic that we came so close to being at war with Iran, which would have been an absolute disaster. And that's what he did in one term. Next time, maybe he actually does start a war with Iran or North Korea or who knows what. So I think Biden voters, if you're looking at fear factor, they might be actually more motivated to actually vote against Trump. I don't know, it's hard to say. I mean, the hardcore Trump fans, they're highly motivated to vote for Trump. They're going to go out there. They're going to do whatever it takes to make sure they vote for Trump. But that's a very, very small part of the Trump voter, or a smaller part, rather. The rest of the people who will vote for Trump but are not hardcore Trumpsters, I don't know that they are going to be that reliable. Because, again, I think the fear is more on the Biden side than it is on the Trump side, with the exception of his hardcore base. So I don't know. Those are my thoughts. Tell me what you guys think in the comment section below. This is the Debate Me channel.